जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई सुदर्शन जी की जय। श्री 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 गौर निताय की जय। नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यम जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणि प्रचार निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य ज्ञानश्लोकाय चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नाम्ने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारण। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं हरिओं तत्सत्। ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, 2.2. So Sri Bhagavan Vacha कुतस्त्वाक्षमलं इदं विषमे समुपस्थितम् अनार्यजुष्टं स्वर्ग्यम् अकीर्तिकरम् अर्जुन. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Such a wonderful, beautiful verse. So, here, Prabhupada, so just simple understanding. Here he says that uh, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said. Normally, like Krishna is saying that Prabhupada, Vyasadeva is mentioning that the Supreme Personality of Godhead means who is Bhagavan Vacha, he says. So here he's saying that, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not befitting a man who knows the progressive value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy. So this is happening in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So Arjuna overwhelmed by the compassion and illusion about his kinsman. Why is he illusioned, or is beginning of, like, Krishna's spiritual instructions of this, especially we see, is that weakness is not compassion. Uh, So Ajna's hesitation is is equal to his bodily conception, or real compassion is a spiritual welfare, right? So then why is Arjuna is here? Uh, what he is thinking? He's thinking how, how can I kill my kinsman? Why he has that compassion? So the point is here that Prabhupada, so we must understand that actually Arjuna is acting as a very good man. Why shall I? Oh, I cannot kill my kinsman. From material point of view, people will very much appreciate. Oh, here is Arjuna. He's so nice, non-violent. He's foregoing, his claim. He has given up his astra, bow and arrow. He's no longer fighting. He has decided not to fight with kinsmen, kill his own men. So from material point of view, Arjuna is supposed to be very, very good man. But the Supreme Person, Krishna, what does he say? here in this verse is mentioned, right? Anarya justam. So see, you're acting as a like rascal. You are speaking like an Arya. He will say rascal later on. But he forced himself to be very good man. But when he comes to the test of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he refuses to accept him as good man. He's saying that you are an Arya. There are two kinds of men, an Arya and Arya. Aryan. Aryan means advanced in knowledge. He is called Aryan. Nanarya means uncivilized. So immediately, like he rebukes him, Anarya just you are taking just like non-Aryan, uncivilized person. People are very much nowadays eager how to stop war. But Krishna says, at, say yesterday, he heard war started in Middle East area, and again Russia, like bomb to Ukraine. All this you cannot control these things. But Krishna, like this war is different. And what Krishna we are discussing Kurukshetra war is different. Where injustice happened, that's why this war has begun. But here everybody is doing injustice only for material purpose. One want to claim ownership of other person for their own propaganda. So at any case, so people are very much nowadays eager how to stop work, but Krishna is at any case is not required. There is necessity of war, just like he's trying to convince Arjuna. A war means according to Vedic civilization. That is called Dharma Yuddha, religious fight. When the actual need is there to fight, we must fight. A Kshatriya Dharma is like that only. Prabhupada also says, in uh, he says that why should you kill any? Here he's saying we support that, supporting that. Why should you kill any animal who is coming to? If you are determined not to kill, we were talking of not killing. That why should you kill one animal who is coming to attack? No, you must kill once. Prabhupada. Once Prabhupada visit Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in a yoga pit. Okay. So evening time. That time when it was about to sunset. Actually, it's almost the sun is gone. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is in the second floor with his servants and they are discussing. So Prabhupada was there in the ground floor in the mm, so he was calling. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur heard that somebody is calling. Why? They said you can come up. No need to no, again he's calling. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur sensed it. There is something is wrong. You go and check. Then immediately the person, servant came and saw from this first floor only. They saw Prabhupada was his road was his way was blocked by cobra. He was calling. If he moves any side, cobra ready to bite him. Okay. Then they saw immediately Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also came. Then they killed. They asked why we should not kill, right? And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur say, in order to save a pure devotee, we can kill the snake. So when there is a necessity, we can fight or we can kill. But here, do we authorize it or do we have that, authority to kill a particular animal or human? So because we are not supposed to kill, because once you kill, but you have to bear that sin, right? How it will work? So according to Vedic civilization, if you do dharma yuddha, religious fight, when the actual need is there to fight, we must fight. Not that when there is no need of fight, one becomes non-violent. Just like, see, Krishna conscious person knows when to kill and when not to kill. But it is not because of we accept not killing. Therefore, in every case, killing should be stopped. No, if there is necessity, killing should be accepted. Therefore, Arjuna decides not to kill because his dharma is kshatriya, is kshatriya dharma, and he is not ordinary person. So, and Krishna says that this is anarya justam. This kind of decision is made by the uncivilized rascal. Anarya justam asvargyam akirtikaram. So many things he says asvargyam because the aim of human life should be to make progress. That is called Arya, progressive march. So we got this human form of body progressing from the lowest species of life in aquatics, then trees, plants, insects, birds, beasts, like like that. So many species are there, 84 lakhs. Now we got this civilized form of the body, then our endeavor should be how to make further progress. As soon as a person accepted the body, so the further progress is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Like, if you understand that, in 14th chapter, you can go to the higher planetary system. Udvam gachanti satvasta Udva, the higher planetary system. Madhye tishtanti rajasa madhye. The middle planetary system, those who are contaminated with the passion quality, they remain. And Jagnaya guna vrittisto adho gachanti tamasaha. And those who are miscreants, Jagnaya guna vrittistha, most hope hatefully accustomed. These hatefully accustomed illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, intoxication, these are habits of hateful nature. So, Jaganye guna vrittistha adogachanti tamasaha, they go down, either become animals or there are seven kinds of lower planetary system. Tala, tala, nitala, patala, tala, tala, rasa, tala, like, atala, sutala, pa. So, Arya means must make progress. Anarya means one who does not know that is progress of life. They think there is no life after death. So, I have got this life now. Let me enjoy my senses to the best capacity. This is Anarya. Okay. I know the purpose of life. Being a bona fide spiritual master accepted me as his disciple, and he has trained me. Uh, I have committed and I have taken vow that I will follow for greater principles and I will help him in spreading this Krishna consciousness mission for till my last breath, and I will chant minimum 16 rounds, 16 japamalas, each mala 108 mantras till my last breath. So, what purpose? Because we realized that we are not this body, we are the soul, right? Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumara yavanam jara tata dehantar prapti dhiras tatra namayate. That this embodied soul continues phases in this body from boyhood to youth to old age. The soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such change. So sincere, since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. But at the same time, spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. So, any man who has a perfect knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul, The super soul and nature, both material and spiritual, is called a dhira. So are a most sober man. Such a man is never deluded by the change of bodies. Uh, Right? So your point is that what is stopping Arjuna to not to fight? So Srila Prabhupada is telling that one is that weakness is weakness. What is his weakness? Compassion. Why is so much compassionate? To whom he is compassionate? Arjuna's hesitation is as good as equal to bodily conception. Beginning this spiritual must be guided by dharma, deviation. The spiritual life requires courage. Krishna rejects cowardly. Bhakti is active, not passive. We have to understand that philosophically. You see, Dehinosmin yata dehi, we just discussed, right? The soul is eternal. Lamentation is due to ignorance. One must realize that due to ignorance. So illusion covers intelligence. How do we understand that? Icha, dvesha, samuttena. Because of duality causes bewilderment, right? Only duality only causes bewilderment. That's why, Krishna says in this verse, right, seventh chapter, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from the desire and hate. If Ichha, Dvesa, Samuttena, Dvandva Mohena, Bharata, Sarvabhutani, Samoham, Sarge, Yanti Parantapa. So, the point we must understand that how actually we have to understand that the spiritual life begins when illusion is challenged. In spiritual philosophy, illusion means Maya, keeps us identified with temporary roles, body, possessions, ego. The moment we question those assumptions, a shift begins. We start asking, who am I beyond this body? We examine what is permanent versus temporary. We become open to higher knowledge and transformation. In many traditions, this challenge to illusion is the turning point from passive living to conscious living, from habit to inquiry, from ignorance to realization. If you'd like, I, I can expand like this into a short reflection for a classes talks, or connect with teachings from the Gita or Bhagavatam. So many things are how to understand that. So what is illusion in spiritual terms? In Vedic philosophy, illusion, we just heard that it is illusion means misidentifying the reality. What is that? Thinking that I am only this body. Believing happiness comes only from temporary things. What is that? Wealth, status, price. Forgetting our eternal spiritual nature. What is illusion? That is definitely in what does it mean to challenge illusion? Challenging illusion means questioning our assumption about life. It begins when a person sincerely asks, who am I really? Why do temporary pleasures not fully satisfy me? What is the ultimate purpose of life? This questioning breaks blind acceptance and opens the door to higher knowledge. What is that higher knowledge? What is that higher knowledge? To understand your constitutional position and surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why does spiritual life start at that point? Before questioning like runs on habit and conditioning. Once illusion is challenged, then is awareness awakens. We seek truth. We become receptive to spiritual guidance. That moment of inquiry is like walking up from a dream. The real journey starts here, there, right? Simple, like, it's everyday example. Imagine chasing achievements, thinking they will give permanent happiness. After achieving them, you still feel something missing. The realization, maybe happiness is deeper than this, is the challenge to illusion. In one sentence, a spiritual life begins not when we perform rituals, but when we genuinely question false identities and start searching for truth. Like, in this verse, Prabhupada is mentioning that one only. What he is saying that Arya means must make progress. Anarya means one who does not know what is progress of life. They think there is no life after death. So this is Anarya, like demon thing, eating, drinking by marry, like, and enjoy. Because as soon as the body will be finished, the senses also will be finished, right? But what about soul? Where it goes? Then how we can? Okay, we have to understand the real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination of the Supreme Lord, who is pure in knowledge. When one is deluded into separation from this pure knowledge, he becomes controlled by the illusory energy and cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The illusory energy is manifested in the duality of desire and hate. Due to desire and hate, the ignorant person wants to become one with the Supreme Lord and invites Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But pure devotees who are not deluded or contaminated by desire and hate can understand that Lord Krishna appears by his internal potencies. And Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport, like no verse purport. Krishna is like beginning onwards. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He says, right, that what he's saying, Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical. Why is saying like that? So we'll explain that also. So, like Krishna appears by his internal potencies, but those who are deluded by duality and nescience think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is created by material energies. This is their misfortune. Such deluded persons symptomatically dwell into dualities of dishonor and honor, misery and happiness, women and men, good and bad, pleasure and pain, etc. Like thinking this is my life, this is my house, my whatever I think, like, I know better than anyone about my life. I don't need to hear from you. Okay. I have a lot of experience. Okay. Who are you to tell, man? Don't please mind your business. Because we have no knowledge. We always assume that we are this body. Everyone's life is one's own lesson. Because we have our own philosophy. We, when time comes, we like express our own philosophy, which doesn't authorized by Krishna or any Vyasadeva or Parampara. That also leads us into delusion. So these are the dualities of delusion. Those who are so deluded by dualities are completely foolish and therefore cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Excuse me. Hmm. So, the Bhagavan is the ultimate understanding of the absolute truth. Just like when we feel temperature, just like we feel temperature from the sunshine, heat and light. The sun is giving heat and light, everyone can feel that. We enjoy the light and the heat, but if you trace where from this heat and light is coming, then you go to the sun planet. This is localized. that is not impersonal. And again, if you enter into the sun planet, then you will see the sun god, Vivaswan. Who is that? Vivaswan. So we should not conclude finals like no simply by heat and light. So Brahman understanding, impersonal understanding of the absolute truth is imperfect understanding, partial understanding. It is not full understanding. Full understanding is Bhagavan. Therefore, it is stated Sri Bhagavan Vacha. There cannot be any mistake. So here, Bhagavan is criticizing Arjuna. Why? He became very good man. What is that? Why shall I? Why shall I? I cannot kill my kinsman. So, if you see in material point of view, people will very much appreciate, right? So, so that's why Vyasadeva does not say that Krishna Vacha. If he would have said Krishna, then people would have misunderstood. He's directly speaking Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So anyone who is impersonalist, how he can understand Bhagavad, like Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavan means person. Bhagavan is not imperson. The absolute truth is manifested in three features. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning Brahman, Paramatman, Bhagavan. Brahman means the beginning, impersonal. Like Sarvam Idam Kalo Brahma. Because just like fire is burning somewhere, but its heat and light is impersonal. Suppose here is a big fire. Okay. Have you all experienced like heat, like somewhere is a firing, like fire got into house got into fire. Then have you ever seen that? In villages, we often see in the summer, especially like this who has huts, especially in kitchen they maintain huts and they maintain cow feeding and all, like paddy grass. So it's they places next to house and next to very easy accessible. So if you are not really alert, then immediate fraction of seconds it'll if get into fire you can't control. So at the point we must understand that, so just like fire is burning somewhere, but its heat and light is impersonal. Suppose we got a fireplace that is in one corner, but whole room you're feeling heat. That heat is impersonal. But the fireplace where there is blazing fire, that is personal, right? So, impersonal conception is the offshoot of the person that will be explained in the in 13th chapter says Maya Tatam Yidam Sarvam. In four, I mean it is ninth chapter, right? Krishna says that everyone, everywhere I am spread, I am exist everywhere. How does he exist? By his energy. That energy is impersonal, but the supreme person is not impersonal. He is person. Therefore, it is said, Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Bhagavan means who is full with six kinds of opulences. He says, Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Virya. So, Aishwarya, the richest, the most famous, the most learned, the most beautiful, the most strong, and the most announcer. He is Bhagavan. One must understand that. So he we have to understand that. That's why, like he says like this, Savai Pumsho Paro Dharmayato Bhakti Radokshacha Hayutuki Apritihati Yatma Suprasayi. The supreme person, occupation. So dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Sages ask, sages ask him to summarize the whole range of revealed scriptures. Who then Sutta Goswami says that and represent the most essential part of the fallen people or the mm, people in general might easily take it up. The Vedas prescribe two different types. occupation for the human being. One is called the nivritti. So one is called pravritti marga, that or the path of sense enjoyment, and the other is called nivritti marga or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior. The path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. The material existence of living being is diseased condition of actual life. Actual life is spiritual existence or Brahma Bhuta states like existence. Where life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge, material existence is temporary, illusory, and full of miseries. There is no happiness at all. There is just the what is there? Futile attempt to get rid of the miseries, and temporary cessation of misery is falsely called happiness. Therefore, the path of progressive material enjoyment, which is temporary, miserable, and illusory, is inferior. But devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to the eternal, blissful, and all cognizant of life, is called the superior quality of occupation. This is sometimes polluted when mixed with the inferior quality. Like adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. And renunciation or abnegation for ultimate good is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in the diseased condition of life. Such as enjoyment is only aggravates the symptoms of disease and increases its duration. So, therefore, devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality. That is like no, without the least desire for material enjoyment. One should therefore accept the superior quality of occupation in the form of the devotional service of the Lord without any tinge of unnecessary desire, creative action, and philosophical speculation. This is alone can lead one to the perpetual solace in his service. That's why we have to, what is that is dharma yuddha we are talking, right? We have purposely like denoted dharma as occupation because the root meaning of the word dharma is that which sustains one's existence. A living being's sustenance of existence is to coordinate his activities with his eternal relation with the Supreme Personality of God, Lord Krishna. Krishna, Krishna is the eternal form. Okay, each and every living being has his eternal form in the spiritual existence. And Krishna is the eternal attraction for all of them. Krishna is the complete whole, and everything else is his part and parcel. The relation is one of the servant and the served. It is transcendental, it's completely distinct from our experience in material existence. This relation of servant and the served is the most congenial form of intimacy. One can realize it as devotional service progresses. Everyone should engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, even in the present conditional state of material existence of one's position. That will gradually give one the clue to actual life and please him to complete satisfaction. So here he is saying that what he is saying, compassion means what, or delivering the soul. That compassion should have guru na sasyat. That means one should not become a leader unless able to deliver dependence from the death. So that's what Bhagavatam also confirms that. Srimad Bhagavatam says that what he says that one who cannot deliver his dependence from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, even as a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod. So there are many spiritual masters, but Like you see in a Rishabh Dev's case, one he is advised as that one should not become a spiritual master if he is unable to save his disciples from the path of birth and death. Here, Krishna is taking a position that Arjuna is saving Arjuna, that is guiding him as a spiritual master, is guiding him as a Krishna himself as a supreme personality of Godhead, in the authority of God, like he's a Bhagavan, he's guiding his devotee, and he's telling that you fight, you fight. Why? He knows what is dharma, what is adharma. When Krishna is saying, you do, what is your problem? You have anything to say? If Krishna is telling you to do, so are you enough capable enough to directly get instruction from Krishna? So what we have to do? We need a spiritual master. So our here we have to fight with our senses, our own senses, not with anyone else. Hey, this fellow is disturbing me. Is struggle is giving me struggle like anything, troubling my business. Is troubling me in like Arey, I want to do something devotionally. I'm a temple manager, something. This fellow is always doing lot of politics. I will show you who I am. I'll kill you. So we have that authority. This is not our job. Okay. We are into Vaishnava Parampara. Our job is that Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Take it as a lesson. Okay. There are some impurities are still there in our heart. So through that person, we can overcome that impurities. But at the same time, if he is doing really nonsense, we have to stop that nonsense as well. Okay. So that's why actually one is supposed to give everything to the Lord because everything belongs to the Lord. Consequently, then you see that yat karosi yad asnasi yad josi dadasi yat tapasya kaunteya tat kuruswamat arpanam. He's saying that all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering to me. This is called bhakti. So we are doing everything for Krishna's satisfaction, not for my own name, fame, or no, my purpose. So to prove I am such a wonderful realized person, I know everything. Okay, I am authority here. So whatever I do, that is the right. One should follow me, definitely. Nobody ever obey, disobey my orders. Okay. Unless one is devoted, he cannot give everything to the Supreme Lord. Unless one can do so, he cannot become a spiritual master or husband, father, or mother. Similarly, it applicable to us. So that's why Lord Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that a devotee who fully surrenders unto him is no longer liable to suffer the reactions of his previous karma. However, because in his mind, a devotee may still maintain the remnants of his previous sinful mentality. The Lord removes the last vestiges of the enjoying spirit by giving his devotee punishments that may sometimes resemble sinful reactions. The purpose of the entire creation of God is to rectify the living entity's tendency to enjoy without the Lord. We have that tendency, right? And therefore, the particular punishment given for a sinful activity is specifically designated to curtail the mentality that produced the activity. Although a devotee has surrendered to the Lord's devotional service, until he is completely perfect in Krishna consciousness, he may maintain a slight inclination to enjoy the false happiness of this world. The Lord therefore creates a particular situation to eradicate this remaining enjoying spirit. Thus, unhappiness suffered by a sincere devotee is not technically a karmic reaction. So we have to take in that aspect. So it is rather the Lord's special mercy for inducing his devotee to completely let go of the material world and therefore come, he is calling us, come home, my dear son, come home back to Godhead. Like that's why a sincere devotee earnestly desires to go back to the Lord's abode. Therefore, he willingly accepts the Lord's merciful punishment and continues offering respects and obeisances to the Lord with his heart, words, and body. Kaya manu vakya. Right? We say kaya means body. Man means in the mind. Vakya by words. We do this. Such a bona fide servant of the Lord, considering all hardship, a small price to pay for gaining the personal association of the Lord, certainly becomes a legitimate son of God, as indicated here by the word. We say that, he say that dayabak, just as one cannot approach the sun without becoming a fire, one cannot approach the supreme pure Lord Krishna without undergoing a, excuse me, rigid purificatory process, which may appear like suffering, but which is in fact a curative treatment administered by the personal hand of the Lord. We have to understand that. So understand what illusion is. So that's why he says in illusion begins when we mistake the temporary body and mind for the self. How it recognize it in yourself, like now myself. And this body, mentality, like excess fear, pride, or despair based on temporary situations. Reflection practice, like no, ask, is this concern eternal or temporary? If temporary, it is Maya, influence. So where he's saying that? He says, right? Nasato. Yeah. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. Ubhyor apitrustho antas tvanyos tattvadarshibhi. No, he's saying that those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. These they have concluded by studying the nature. And that's what he says, right? That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be undestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So he says that we have to observe the symptoms of illusion in the mind, like contemplation leads to attachment, and attachment leads to desire. Desire, then from desire, anger comes. Then from anger, delusion comes. From delusion, last of memory. Then finally, fall down. Where it says 62 and 63. You remember? The practical recognition science, repeated mental loops about sense objects, irritation when mm, desires are blocked, and forgetting spiritual priorities. When you see this chain starting, like you're witnessing illusion in action, like what it says, contemplation leads to attachment leads to desire leads to anger, and anger leads to delusion leads to loss of memory. Finally, I'm here, fall down, right? The That's why he says in 2.7, what he says, recognize weakness as lack of surrender. That is a my weakness is, Arjuna admits my weakness of what is confusing my body. So the key teaching, we have to understand that weakness, the confusion about duty due to our attachment, which is not a Krishna consciousness, it is non-Krishna consciousness. Because of that, all material things, it leads us to always in delusion, keep us in delusion. How to identify avoiding responsibility, justifying in inaction spiritually, emotional paralysis in, decision making, honest admission, like Arjuna admit Karpanya dosho pahata. He like, no, he's saying karpanya dosha. He's saying dosha is that first step to clarity. See how the mode, like, gunas influences you. 14th chapter says that illusion operates through tamas, rajas, sattva. Tamas indicates laziness and depression. Rajas indicates restlessness and lessness wanting. Sattva, the clarity. We have clarity, but still material. So, which mode dominated my action today? That builds a spiritual self-awareness. The ultimate way to overcome illusion is that he says that Maya is difficult to overcome, but those who surrender to Krishna cross beyond it. What he says? Anyone? Like, seventh chapter. I'll give you a clue. Excuse me. Oh, Krishna, I am taking less water, I think. Any idea? He says, right? Davyeshu gunamaya
दैवी
mama
एष
maya
गुणमयि
duratya
मम माया
mami eva ye
दुरत्यया.
prapadyante mayam yetam tarantite. Right? So, the practical step from the Gita is that hear regularly Shravanam, chant and remember Krishna, act in duty without attachment, Karma Yoga, like seek guidance from the Guru and Shastra, like simple daily exercises that where did I act from ego? Where did I act from service? What triggered agitation today? This gradually reveals illusion and inner weakness. So that's why spiritual in the form of spiritual master. So Krishna is personally guiding us. Krishna is personally guiding us. Krishna says Arjuna weakness is not befitting a noble person, leads neither to higher planets nor to fame. And here what Prabhupada is saying that. So Prabhupada explains that Arjuna's compassion looked virtuous externally, but it was actually material sentiment based on bodily attachment. Not all kindness or non-violence is spiritual. If it contradicts duty given by Krishna, it is illusion. We must understand. And a devotee must not neglect duty due to emotional confusion. Arjuna was a Kshatriya, and refusing to fight meant abandoning his service to Krishna's plan. What lesson we learn? The real spirituality. What is that? Performing one's duty in alignment with the Lord's will, not escapism. And here, weakness of heart is the first obstacle in bhakti. We have to understand that. And Prabhupada, that's what he emphasizing that soft heartness, hot, like no, heartedness caused by attachment makes one forget spiritual responsibility. This weakness is like clouds intelligence and creates false morality, leads to inaction. That's why Krishna is chastising Arjuna. His chastisement is mercy, not harassment. So that how we'll understand. See, normally we want to, it's like, our son is there. Some, for example, one boy, his son, is repeatedly doing that. So we tell him, hey, you're doing wrong, don't do that. But we don't harass our own son, right? So that's what Prabhupada is highlighting that the Lord sometimes corrects the devotee strongly to remove our own illusion. So meaning is that spiritual growth often begins when we accept correction from the Guru, Shastra, and Krishna. The true compassion is spiritual, not material. Material compassion focuses on the body. Spiritual compassion focuses on the soul and eternal benefit. Therefore, Krishna wanted Arjuna to act for dharma and spiritual welfare, not temporary emotions. What we have to understand, practical takeaway from these verses. Don't justify weakness in the name of kindness, and align decision with Guru, Scripture, and Krishna. Be courageous in spiritual duty. Accept correction as divine guidance. So Prabhupada teaches us that spiritual life begins when we reject sentimental weakness and courageously perform our duty for Krishna's pleasure. Okay? Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Anything, any doubts? That's why, Sanjay begins to relate the Lord. Bhagwan said, Bhagwan. So, eternal endowed with the six qualities, who is that? Aishwaryasya, Samagrasya, Viryasya, Sriya, Jnana, Vairagyasya, Chapis, Sannam, Bhagai, Itinga. So, here we have to understand that contamination means Kashmalam, the Kashmalam, it's a derogatory sense. Since Krishna is taking the position of the teacher and criticizing his student, for what reason? Kuta. What is that Kuta? Kuta means as is contamination for turning away from your duties, right? So that's why he's saying that the jewel among warriors at the time of battle, Vishame. The Lord explains that this renunciation of fighting does not lead to liberation, swarga or fame. It is not practiced justum by those aspiring for liberation, Arya, because those who are Arya practice their designated duties for purification of the heart. It is also contrary to religious practices for obtaining swarga, aswargyam, and it destroys the fame. What it is? Akriti, akirtikaram. It says, right? Akirtikaram. Okay. Anything, any suggestions, doubts, or Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
No questions, no doubts. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you all.